Nice bright sunny day today. A little bit of breeze moving in. I've got the scarf for close encounters. I go over to a little island today called Lido. Kind of a summer town. Look at this building here. Look at that. I love this one. It's so much older than everything else around it. You know, these are cute, but this is another level. Looks like that's someone who lives there. These are wooden panels. Look, that's wood. This thing is a few hundred years older than everything around it. And of course it's all elevated there, of course, because the flooding would come in. Mind you, on this side of town the flooding doesn't happen as much. We're pretty high up over here and don't get it as bad. Rarely floods the whole place like it does in some other points. San Marco is the worst. The piazza. That's the salute there. From an angle you've never seen it from. You always see it from the other side, from the San Marco direction. Anyhow, doing some Q&A. I'm just taking a slight detour. I've got to get the 6 out to Lido. I'm going out there because there's the weirdest reason. It's not very Venice romantic or anything, but there's a supermarket out there that has some products that what I would describe as international products. And sometimes I'm in the mood for something. I'm not in the mood for Italian food sometimes. I get my fair share of it here. I don't need to experience more. So I'm in the mood for tacos or burritos or something, and this is the kind of stuff in the States you find in every supermarket or every deli. But here, really hard to find. And there's a place out there that has, you know, the refried beans and the tortillas. So I'm gonna go out there. I don't know why they have it out there and not over here. It's weird. I do a lot of filming down here in the evenings. Yeah, there's quite a wind, there's quite a breeze today. If it wasn't for that, it'd feel like a spring day or a summer's day. That's the Gritty Hotel. It's one of the nicest hotels here. And over there is the Academia Bridge. Oh, by the way, what am I wearing? I'm doing the Aquaterra, the Golf edition. Isn't that pretty? Love this watch. The perfect kind of all-rounder. Dressy and, you know, sparkly, but also durable feeling and everyday-ish as well. A perfect balance. Check out this. This is a calle. This is an actual street. If you see somebody coming at the other end, you have to stop, or they stop. Depends on who's farther down it. Sometimes you get a person who decides, oh, we can both fit. Then you get to know them very intimately on the way past. Horology Cafe. Do you like eating cheese while drinking wine? Sure, yeah. That's the perfect pairing, right? Although sometimes chocolate is nice. That's a breeze. Sometimes chocolate is really nice, depending on what wine you're having. Air King Ben, when are you doing the Air King video? This guy's so funny. It's like when I spoke highly of the Air King, it's like it opened up his world. All of a sudden his entire existence made sense, and he's been writing me, Air King, tell me how great it is. Some people just want to hear their how great their own watch is. You know, it's just a validation. I get it. I do that sometimes. I buy a watch and then I look at videos of that watch even though I've already bought it. This is cool. This is, see these people out here? They're doing that kind of, there's a word for it here. What's the name of it? It's a skill, like you're learning how to row manually, standing up. All the gondolieri here are really good at that. Obviously, that's their profession. When am I doing the Air King video? I don't know, man. As soon as I can. I have so many videos to do. I'm backed up. I just keep getting backed up. It's nuts. Constellation watches. What's your favorite musical scale? I want to learn some more scales on the guitar. The whole tone might be interesting. That's Debussy's scale, right? He came up with that because normally a scale is made up of intervals, tone and semitone intervals. So the major scale, for example, is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. And that's what makes the shape of that scale. Well, Debussy came up with the whole tone scale, which is tone intervals all the way. There are no semitone spaces. So you get a weird kind of dreamy, almost kind of wheezy feel off it. And he uses it really well. Check that out. Watch Gringa. How are you, darling? What watch brand has the most annoying fanboys? I assume you're asking me that because you have a strong opinion about it too. You're feeling the heat from the Omega guys. The Omega guys are really, they're kind of nerdy. I'm one of the Omega nerds. You get the smallest thing wrong and they jump all over you, especially in the forums and on Facebook. Oh my god. They remind me of that character in The Office, in the British Office, the Ricky Gervais, the original, the computer tech guy who he's such a nerd, and Gareth is there trying to impress him, and they're talking about Gareth goes, oh, I love that Bruce Lee film, Enter the Dragon, and he's like, I've never seen that one. And Gareth is like, huh, you've never seen Enter the Dragon? And he goes, no, I've seen Way of the Dragon. And he's like, oh no, I meant Way of the Dragon. And then the guy looks at the camera. It's just that classic, like, oh, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. I think the Grand Seiko guys as well. Anyone who has that kind of rivalry with the Rolex gang. But the Rolex gang can be annoying too because they're flexers. You know, anyone who's doing the flexing, they can be annoying too, right? I guess they're all. I'm annoying. We're all annoying. God damn it. Watch Gringa again. What kind of videos are your favorite to make? Probably these, because it's just me standing here talking to you. I mean, it's just so easy. Later, I'll dump this all in the computer, drop it up on YouTube. It won't be much effort. My other videos are just so much effort. I love doing them. It's nice to do content that has a lasting value, hopefully, but it's also extremely exhausting and kind of brain melting sometimes, you know. And Brittany, your last question. I'm only answering these questions because it's you, okay? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Do you think Watch Gringa is the sexiest motherfucker? The watch fan. Of course you are, my darling. Of course you are. Marcus in Norway. How are you, man? Why no love for Spanish wines, bro? I love Spanish wines. I just haven't featured any on the channel yet. Spanish wines are amazing. I mean, that's still old world. Ribera del Duero, Rioja. I've had the Vega Sicilia Unico, one of the world's great wines. And the Valbuena, which is also amazing. That's when the harvest doesn't go quite as well, because it's difficult in Spain. They have this chalky terroir, this dry, poor soil, as they call it, which is good for vines. Vines thrive better in poor soil than rich soil. Rich soil will make a horrible wine, be flappy and tasteless berries. But it gets so hot and dry there that they're what's the vendemmia, the harvest. The harvest happens quite early. Sometimes they have to watch it, and it usually happens in the middle of the night when there's a full moon. Usually that's the superstition with picking the grapes. In August, sometimes mid-August, is their harvest, because otherwise the grapes will over-ripen with the heat and the altitude. So they have to catch it, and there's a skill in catching that. And when it doesn't go quite perfectly with Vega Sicilia, for example, it's Valbuena, which is a great wine. That's $150 bottle, beautiful, because their techniques are second to none. But when they get it perfect, then it's unico. Oh man, it's a great wine. And just like that, I'm in a little beach town. This doesn't really look like the Venice you think of. Yeah, to finish off about Spanish wines, Marcus. Yeah, fantastic stuff. Notes of, the Spanish wine classic notes are scorched orange peel, of course. Definitely the presence of oranges in there somewhere. And in some of the lower end ones, like the Riscal, that's a famous one. Look at this cute little bar. I love this place. Might stop there later for a little spritz on the way back. Yeah, some of the cheaper ones, the Riojas, have that kind of buttered popcorn thing going on in the nose, which to anyone who knows wine well might be a red flag about secondary malolactic fermentation. But I don't think they do it. I don't think they do that kind of stuff in Spain. They do a lot of that in the New World wines. It's kind of cheating when your wine isn't convincing enough. You get in and ferment it twice, a second time, and you add lactose. They do it sometimes to white wines that are too acidic. It happens a lot in California. It's kind of cute down here. Little gelaterias and cafes. They have some amazing hotels out here. The Excelsior's out here where all the stars stay every year for the film festival. It's actually out here, it's not even in Venice. They escape. Brother Adrian says, new Speedmaster Sapphire Hesselite. As long as it doesn't have that finishing issue that I brought everyone's attention to. And the edges of the thing are just a tad too sharp. Go for either one, man. The great thing about the Hesselite, the Sapphire, is it has that applied logo, has those extra little details that they left off the Hesselite. But if you want to be a purist, you can do the Hesselite. Then again, if you want to be a purist, you should probably be going for an older one anyway, right? A 321 or an 861. I don't have a yearning for a new Speedy. Not just because of the sharpness issue, which, as far as I can tell, happened on some and not all, but on the 4 that I tried. But I've got my 861, you know, with that gorgeous bracelet. I don't need one of the new ones. The new ones are a facsimile of an older thing, and it's not really that cool. Check out this hotel. This is nice. I've never stayed here. They have a lovely bar area. Ausonia Palace. Look at the outside of that building. It's beautiful tiles. Isn't that lovely? Grand Albergo, Ausonia. If you had to take one beater watch, one diver, one formal. Oh man, these questions, they're hard. They're hard. GRB 444. Which country has the hottest women? I don't know. What you'll get a lot of, and this is misogynistic crap, okay? Sexist. If you get offended by this stuff, just skip on or turn off the video or whatever. What you get a lot of here in Italy is you get a lot of, they're very healthy people, you know? So there's a lot of lovely slender girls with the thigh gap and all that stuff. Beautiful little behinds on them and so on. But a lot of hard faces. A lot of tough looking, you know, those kind of big noses and the pointy noses and Roman looking nose. And women who age get kind of masculine here. A lot of masculine looking women here. You see them from behind, they look like a supermodel, and then they turn around and of course there are a trillion exceptions to what I just said, but I'm giving generalizations here. I like the American girls. I think genetics works best like a deck of cards. You've got to shuffle it. That's why people like Keanu Reeves and so on are so pretty, because they're kind of a mix of cultures mixed together, and you get a nice blend. You don't want single malt humans, you want blends as opposed to scotches. Blends are good, and of course the United States is a big melting pot. You know, I've dated girls from Ohio, girls for example. Whoa. They're all statues, they're all amazing. Colorado, California, even Florida, North Florida, Tallahassee. There's a lot of Dutch and German background, giving those beautiful little, you know, doll's noses, high cheekbones, but then they'll have a sallow skin from some sort of Mediterranean input, a Greek or Italian input, or maybe even a South American input. So you can wind up with these beautiful creatures with lovely olive complexions. I'm just talking about women like they're watches here. I mean, what do you think the fashion industry does every single day? My Insta 01. Where does your money come from? It appears passive. What are you suggesting? That I'm a rich kid, like a trust fund kid or something? Passive, like I get an allowance every month. I'm from a very poor family, struggling family. I'm a music producer for years, and I have a computer store based out of New York, an online one. And I mean, I'll say it straight, I'm pretty good with turning $1 into 2 or into 5. I always have been. So here we are years later. I mean, for a long time I didn't even have a watch. You know, through my 20s and 30s I had pieces of crap. See those old photos of me with the band on tour? We didn't have 2 pennies to rub together. We did a long stretch here in Italy, before the States actually, when we were living on like $1 a day. I'll never forget my drummer's pasta with oil dish, oil and onions, every day for a while. He used to use the ironing board as a chopping board, so all our clothes would smell like onions. It's not passive. I haven't had any help. I mean, I had great parents. Father passed away 15 years ago, but my mom's still alive. They did their best, and they raised 5 good kids, smart kids, who did okay for themselves, but never any advantages or handouts. And I'm certainly not getting money from this YouTube stuff, guys, just in case you guys think, oh, he's doing well, he's getting... You don't earn that kind of money from this stuff. Look at this stretch here, it's nice. So the beach is over there. Maybe I'll cross the street in a minute. It's all beach. I shoot out there sometimes, but I just wanted to take a walk down here because one of the great hotels in the history of hotels is down here, and it's been closed for years. It needs someone to come rescue it. It's like an old rotting ship, like the SS United States out there in PA, just parked there and rotting. There's a lot of history here. This is where all the stars used to come. It's called the Deban, Grand Hotel Deban, and it's magnificent, but kind of sad right now. So I can walk down here. Yeah, YouTube doesn't. I mean, there's a little money comes in every now and then. Honestly, it would be more if I didn't put so much music into my videos. You'll see other YouTubers are afraid to even hum a tune, even whistle a tune, in case they get demonetized. Whereas I'm like, screw it. I'd rather have a good video than... I'd rather use the right music than make $30 or whatever the hell I'd make from the video. Like, look at that. That's the entrance. This is all boarded up. What a sad thing. It's kind of amazing. It's a great stretch along here. A lot of people rent bikes, park them over here. have a look at the Adriatic. Looks like the winds are pretty strong. You can see all these cabana things along the water. All the hotels have their own ones. Where do you get your money from? It appears passive. I love that. There's nothing more there's nothing more potent in the world than the poor resenting the rich. If you're in traffic or you're at a semaphore, how do you, God, I'm losing my English now. Traffic light. You're stopped at the lights. It's crazy. And you're in a cheap car, old beaten up car, and next to you somebody's in a big flashy beautiful car. I think sometimes, and very disappointingly, the guy in the flashy car looks over and goes, "Ugh, what a loser," or whatever. It can happen, I'm sure. I don't think it happens very often, but I'll tell you one thing that happens constantly, 400 times fold, well, 400-fold, is the other guy in the cheap car looking over at the guy with the big car going, "Rich prick." That happens way more. The punch upward happens way more than the punch downward. So you feel that on Watch YouTube. The minute you pull out a watch worth more than $1,000, there'll always be that gang who are like, you know, they just dislike it because the world is cruel. I mean, it's not their fault. The system we've made for ourselves on this planet is a cruel one. If you want to see how it works in a different way, watch Star Trek. Gene Roddenberry had the idea that there wouldn't be any currency and they could use the technology of the future to feed the poor and give everyone equality. Of course, a lot of people would call that communism. Let's not get into that one. Benjamin 2414, which Star Wars film score inspires you the most? Aren't they all almost the same score? You know, I guess Yoda's theme comes in Empire because he's not in the first one, or the fourth one if you go with the chronology of the story. I love Yoda's theme. I love Leia's theme. Watch N1K. If you could only wear one watch for a year. I'm sorry, man. Thanks for the question. Those questions they're like the most asked question. If you could only pick one watch, I don't really have an answer. People ask me, what's your favorite album of all time? What? I can't answer that. It doesn't exist. There is no favorite. Nick Byrne 99. What are the best and worst aspects of being so well known in the watch community? I'm not sure there's a worst. I'm not sure there's a bad aspect to it. I mean, maybe it makes you a target for robberies or something. That's why I keep most of my stuff in the bank at any one time. There's a lot of perks to it. I mean, if I want to sell a watch, I can sell it pretty easily because people are like, well, it's him, you know, I can see him. Whereas if you list your watch online, you're faceless. It's anonymous. You could be anyone, you know. When people feel a certain familiarity with you, they're more likely to say, well, and they've maybe seen the watch already in very high detail with music playing and, you know, macros, and so it kind of builds a little confidence in the watch itself, right? I mean, that's what a lot of these traders are doing on YouTube. You know, they're making entertaining content, but it's really about making a connection with a potential with their customers. It's very clever, really. I can't think of a really bad aspect to it. Joe Balicioni, Speedmaster, Tudor, Automapigay, Yachtmaster, Stay. Oh wow, you got it, man. You got it. I can't believe it. Are you the only person? I'm gonna have to send you something. Let me explain what he's talking about. I in the Interstellar video, I like to put Easter eggs in my videos, in the big production ones. So if you go back and look at the Omega and Trieste, or Breitling and Siena, or any one of those big travel ones, I put in little signs, little things that make sense, or they can be clues or something like that. That probably most people won't notice, but if you're a big fan, maybe you'll decrypt the stuff. So in this one, in the Interstellar one, in part 2, when he gets into the Tesseract inside the black hole, I'm talking, and it's going back and forth to me, but I'm in different locations each time, and I have a different watch on. And yes, it started with Speedy, then the Tudor, then Automapigay, and then the Yachtmaster spelling out the word stay, which is a very important word in that scene. Wow, dude, I'm gonna write to you. I need to send you something, like a watch strap or a pouch or something for that, because I don't think anyone else got it. Good man. You see, my audience are like amazing. Y'all are smarter than me. Vladi Yakubits. What does that mean? When will we see content on the Aquaterras? Thoughts on the new small seconds version? I don't know that watch very well, so I don't have thoughts on it. Yeah, I'll do one. I have the new one with the 8900 movement, the date at 6, and I have this one which I prefer, actually, the date at 3. And I'm gonna do a side by side. See, Ron 745, favorite rock band if you could only pick one. I'm sorry, man. Thanks for the question, though, but I have to skip by those questions. Any advice for younger people? This is Brendan BCL. Any advice for younger people on finding a career path they would enjoy? Well, there's that famous saying that if you feel yourself working, if the days drag out long and you're looking at the clock waiting for 6 p.m. to come along so you can grab your things and leave, then you have a job. If, on the other hand, the days aren't long enough and the time is flying by and you forget to eat dinner, as I do constantly, and I look at the clock and it's 11 p.m. and I was sure it was 9 or 8 p.m., time flying by, and there literally aren't enough hours in the day to get everything done that you want done, then you have a career. And that's the difference. I would recommend the second one. You're not going to be here forever. None of us are. And it's very important to do what you like to do. Now, that's easier said than done. I can hear you all saying that. Yeah, but we got to pay the bills and not all of us have a bloody Rolex. Fair points. But what are you going to do with your life? You've got to make the most of it and use your time the best way you can. I would recommend doing something that you love. And if you're one of those people who doesn't have a hobby or a passion at all, well, then that's it. Then get a job, a regular old job, and go out with your friends at the weekend for a few drinks. And some people are perfectly happy with that. They don't need some crazy passion or to be creative or whatever. They're happy to just be happy with their friends and family and go to work Monday to Friday, pick up their paycheck. There's no shame in that. It's just, I know that a lot of people are unhappy in that situation, and I can relate. And I would say, to add to that, the only thing I would add to that is give yourself time. You know, you might have an idea. It's like when people go on a diet, they want to see results immediately, you know. They starve themselves and go, oh God, I haven't lost a pound and it's been 6 days. No, it needs to be it needs to be a regular thing. It has to occur over a much longer period, 6 months or a year. You find yourself a year later and you can fit back in your old jeans again because of the consistency of it. It's the same thing. So if you have a career idea, get ready for the long haul, because it could take a lot longer than you think it's going to take, and that's okay, because most of us are around for, what's the average age, lifespan these days? 80 years, 90 years, whatever it is. Most of us are around for at least half a century. That's a bloody long time to get things done. So give yourself time and take it at a decent pace and try and do a little bit of it every day. Ross Evans 9480, no question, just thanks for the great content. Cheers, man. Alex Kahida, where do you get all the money to buy all of those watches? Music royalties, trust fund? Here we go again. Where do I get my money? No, I'm not a trust fund kid. My parents struggled. Music royalties, no. Because the band was never big enough to create that kind of revenue. We have our fans all around the world, and if we wanted to, tomorrow we could play a sold-out show in New York City, no problem. That's probably never going to happen. But no, the royalties weren't. I just started getting into production. I got paid for some big projects, and the way it works with me is, it's always been this way. If you give me $1,000, right? You know, for the music production projects, I get paid way more than that. But let's say they hand me $1,000, I won't. I'll only make a turn around. If you gave me 100 grand, I would never have less than 100 grand from that moment, because I'll take 30 of it and start using it to flip stuff, buy stuff and flip stuff and make it generate more. You know, you got to buy food, you got to live. I'm gonna walk down this street. I've never been down here. Lovely autumn colors. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Colors wise, fall is the best time of year, right? So yeah, I've always been that kind of dude. And just churning money, right? But no, I never had any handouts or anything like that, and it's been a struggle, to be honest. There's a thing called the hedonic treadmill. I get all philosophical now, but it's kind of learning how to live on little and live on a lot. So, you know, they say that people find happiness or sadness no matter what. So a person who is always looking on the dark side of things and always complaining, wow, look at these colors, man. A person like that will always, even if they win the lottery, yeah, at first they'll be elated and that change of lifestyle will be great. But eventually they'll find a way to be unhappy again. You know, when they weren't happy with $100 to spend a week, now they have 100,000, and it's also not giving them fulfillment. Look at this place. Ooh. Wow. Someone's doing something right. Whereas a person who always finds a way to be happy will find happiness. Happiness is a choice. So that person, let's say that person gets in trouble, gets arrested and thrown in jail. Yes, at first they'll be devastated, but after a time, once they get used to where they are, they'll find a happy place. They'll You know, they'll do an Andy Dufresne, you know, from Shawshank. They'll open a library and they'll be productive the way they were on the outside. If a defeatist person is a defeatist, whether they have 1 million books in the bank or 100 books in the bank. And the hedonic treadmill is really all about that. If you are used to spending a lot and then you fall on hard times, you have to immediately adjust. You have to change your lifestyle immediately. There's that film Blue Jasmine by Woody Allen, where her husband is, you know, arrested for embezzlement or something. She loses everything. Her classy first class lifestyle just disappears overnight, but she still flies first class to see her sister and still wants to drink vodka martinis all day long. She's still living the high life even though she can't afford it anymore. Not a good idea. You have to recalibrate. I think a lot of people learned that lesson during the COVID crisis, during the lockdown, because everyone had to be frugal. All of a sudden you couldn't go to work anymore, and people who own businesses couldn't open their businesses, and everyone had to learn to live on their savings. The Italians, I think, did a great job, and I think their culture helped them, because an Italian enjoys the finer things like anyone else, but if need be, they can survive on pasta and tomato juice, no problem, or pasta and olive oil, easily and happily for a long stretch of time. They're kind of originally a poor people who lived on little, whereas I saw a lot of footage of Americans lining up to get steaks and pork chops for the barbecue and stuff, and fighting over toilet paper and stuff. The Italians don't use toilet paper. They all have bidets. I mean, toilet paper is there, but they don't use it in the same way as most people use it. It's a drying agent, not a cleaning agent, without getting too gross. I'll let you figure out what that means yourself. Ian 858. Could you see yourself buying a Bremont? They have just released a new watch. Yes, I know all about it because they approached me about promoting it. Do you mean the white one, the kind of icy white one with the two, I don't know, are they pushers or crowns? I wasn't so crazy about that one. I'm interested in Bremont. They're one of these brands like Zero West that they don't build their own movements, because that's such a different thing. It requires a whole other skill set. But they build interesting watches. You know, after all, a lot of us buy the watch because of what it looks like or how it wears, not what's on the inside. That's only one contributing factor. So I think they're interesting. They have some very expensive pieces, though, I gotta say. I think that the Ron Wood from the Rolling Stones, those pieces are like 40 grand or something, because they're hand painted by Ron Wood. Interesting. This is quite beautiful down here. Jack Young 007. Do you ever get lonely? No. I like alone time. After I have a breakup, whenever I break up with a girlfriend, I usually feel that loneliness in the first weeks, you know, because you were used to having, you know, a friend to have dinner with every day or to watch Netflix with, you know. Look at this. But I think loneliness is a power tool. I think it's a thing that you should learn to get used to sometimes, because hey, it's like the hedonic treadmill I just mentioned. You have to have that ability. You have to develop the ability to be alone if need be, because, you know, relationships and friendships come to an end. You know, sometimes a good friend passes away, or a family member you're close with, and then what's going to happen? You're going to be devastated. Are you going to have that gaping wound bleeding constantly? It's okay to mourn the loss of a friend or a girlfriend or a wife or whatever, but you've got to also know how to, you know, just adjust and be happy. Look at these kids. Yeah, typical kids. I mean, he's 15 years old with his friends. Look, impressing his girlfriend and playing their whatever music that was. At least it wasn't reggaeton for once. So, but look, everybody has lonely moments, sure. You need some good friends, that's all you need. Yeah, you can pick up the phone and have a conversation. Favorite record you worked on? I don't have a favorite, but I'll try and answer this one because it's a bit more interesting than what's your favorite watch? What's your favorite color? You know, we had some great recording experiences. Our first big record was Life Size. We did that in San Francisco with Jerry Harrison from the Talking Heads. He produced that record, and that was in the Bay Area there, a beautiful part of the United States. It's one of the prettiest cities in the US, I think. San Francisco there, and Sausalito is where the studio was, there across the water. Very picturesque. So that was very nice. I don't know if that's my favorite, but it was a very nice one to work on. I did some big orchestra work on a record I did there a couple of years ago. And it was nice getting in the full, there was a big budget on that. And it was nice paying all my classical mates, you know, to come in and get paid well, handsomely, and in a big studio in New York, and, you know, do that big heavy production of, you know, you've got pop rock music, but, you know, you got the full orchestra with the, you know, 3 double basses, 4 double basses, and the 8 cellos, and I think we had 22 violins. I totally overdid it on that one, but whatever. It was fun. Once they hit it, man, once they start playing, because people are like, why don't you just hire 10 and double them up? I'm like, because it doesn't sound the same as 22. You can double up 22, you know, and you're going to get some really fat sounds. That was fun, man. Photo Sport Cristiano. What's the first Rolex I should buy? Buy an OP. Buy an OP. It's a good entry into the Rolex world. Unless you're in love with the sub, which everybody is, right? Jason Butler 51. Explain Schrodinger's equation. Oh, look at this. Should be easy after explaining Interstellar. Epic video, man. Thanks. Schrodinger's equation. Look at you. That's, I mean, it's, how am I going to explain that on this video? It's the how to predict things that are somewhat random, like particles where they will appear because of the energy and mass that they have. I always think of Schrodinger's equation like the same way as police detectives figure out which is the guy who done it. You know, they have 10 suspects, and the first thing they start with is who's already been in jail. They start with that one, and where is he now? And, you know, it seems silly, but it's more predictable that a person who has already committed a terrible crime will commit a second one. It's just statistics. It may not be the case at all, but they start there. And Schrodinger's equation is like that. It's like, okay, the particle may be in one place, but it's much more likely to be there because of its, or at least in a set of places, and that set turns into a kind of a wave pattern. And that's how you predict the position of any Sorry, did I say particle? I mean electron. The position, the location of an electron, and its mass, and so on. Dave 9107, best Italian city to take the wife. I've been to Rome and Florence. Venice, here, take her here. It's the most romantic place ever. Not exactly here, over there. Real Venice. Bring her in a gondola. Swoon her. Time wine flying. Like that. Favorite limited edition Speedy minus the Japan racing dial. I like that. I like those Tokyo 2020 ones because it never happened in 2020, and I like the green one, the green and gold. Maybe it's because I'm Irish, but I like the green and gold one. Alex J. Batten loved the recent Interstellar videos. Thanks, man. What are your thoughts on the London Watch Show? Well, I mean, look, it was great to meet all the lads. That was cool, and everyone was very nice. And I saw a lot of cool watches. But it's a trader's world, you know. It's a trader thing. I was a little bit out of place there. I was a fish out of water because it's all guys flipping watches. You know, that floor was like a fish market, you know. I was just talking to a friend recently about that, and we agreed that we'd buy a watch at something like that if it was a good deal. But you wouldn't bring like your wife to buy a watch at one of those things, because it's not very, like, you wouldn't buy the watch of your dreams at one of those places because it's not very romantic. And if you think about the luxury watch experience, you want that whole thing. If you're bringing the wife to get her favorite watch or to get her a gift, you don't want to be standing there with all these dudes yelling at each other like it's, again, like a fish market on a Friday morning or something. That was the feel of it. No offense to those lads, that's their business, that's the way they make their money, but you know, there were moments when I was thinking, what the hell am I doing here? I'm not one of these creatures at all. A totally different kind of beast. But it was cool. Like, I got COVID, so that was shit. Barton Ovendoso, what's your favorite living classical composer? Well, probably John Williams, although I know he's plagiarized a lot from Holst and Stravinsky and stuff like that, but he's just amazing. And I love Howard Blake, who composed The Snowman and other soundtracks. And I recently used one of his pieces on the channel, on the Zero West video, the H1 video. Aguinaldo Prado, thoughts on the Alec Baldwin incident? Very sad. Very sad stuff. I assume you're asking me that because I've mentioned him on the channel in the past. Kind of a fan of that guy. And for anybody who doesn't know, he accidentally killed his DP, his director of photography, a young lady, on set, thinking that he was firing a blank, and he wasn't. The ultimate nightmare for an actor. Just awful mistake, you know. Will he recover from that is the question, you know, because undoubtedly, even though it's clearly not his fault in any way, I mean, what actor wants to shoot their director and their cinematographer? Ridiculous. Although some people are saying that nonsense on Instagram. I've seen it already. But someone out there is going to conflate this event with his, you know, apparent anger management issues. Remember, he got into trouble. Some guy took his parking space or something in New York, and he wasn't tolerating it. And he's pushed a few cameramen away or out of the way a few times. And of course, they love that because then they've got a scandal to talk about, right? Giving these people any sort of fuel to work with is a mistake. But and he's done it a few times. So no doubt some moron out there. Of course, the crowd that are jumping straight on it are the Trump crowd. Of course they are. You shouldn't have slagged Trump. Which should tell you everything you need to know about that guy. Hope he recovers from it. I hope her, obviously, the first victim, the most important victim is her and her family and so on. Terrible. She was a rising star in the movie making world. Great to see a female behind the camera. All the great cinematographers in history. Willis, Storaro, etc., etc. I'm not even thinking of the other names right now. All fellas, all guys. Great to see a woman in charge of photography, and all the more tragic now that that happened. Super Livornese. Wow. And Zuppa alla Veneziana. Definitely take some of those. Venetian soups ready to heat up. This is Del Vulcano. This is one of my favorite affordable wines. Only $13.50. Beautiful Etna Rosso. Fantastic. You see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, check this out. Like nacho chips, right? Then they have tortillas, different Tabascos. This is unusual for Italy. The Italians don't. Most of them probably don't even know what half of this stuff is at all. Like chili con carne, Mexican style, you see? Here's like old El Paso, something you'll see all around the States, easily, everywhere. But here, it's like gold dust. Like, check it out, there's tons of stuff. Sushi stuff, soy sauces. You know how hard it is to get soy sauce in Italy? It's just, they don't use it. It's not part of their culture. Amazing. I was there filming all this stuff in the supermarket, and the guy's like, no video, you can't take video. I'm like, of all the gold? Like, what? Can't take a video of bread. You guys got to hide. It's very weird, but he was adamant about it. Anyway, I got my groceries, and I'm gonna go sit down for a little spritz at this bar that I pointed out earlier, just to give me that warm, fuzzy feeling for the boat ride home. Grazie. I'm using my phone now, guys, so it's hard for me to get the questions, read the names. Somebody was asking about Campari or Aperol. Between those two, I would definitely say Campari, because Aperol is a little sweet, it's a little light. The more you drink, the more you get into harder stuff. It's just the reality of it. So if you're wondering what Aperol is, that's the stuff he's pouring out there. You see the orange coloured stuff. And the one he has in his hand now is Chinar, which is what I'm having. You know, you get into this more bitter tasting stuff the more you drink. And there was another question. Sorry, I don't know. I can't remember the name of who was asking because I just got to go back to the photos and then come back. The questions, I mean, do I invest in crypto or any stocks? I don't. I should. I probably should. It would behoove me to do so, I'm sure, but I've never been into it, never gotten into it. Honestly, a lot of that shit terrifies me. I have friends who do it in New York. Some days they make 50 grand, some days they lose 100 grand. It's like, whoa, I don't have the stomach for it. It was a nice little finish. They gave me a little pasta dish with sausage on it. Just, you know, they throw a little food in front of you just for free. Just waiting for the bus here. I thought that was mine, but it's the 5.1. I gotta wait for the 6, which is gonna arrive right here. And that's where I'm heading over there. So that's grocery shopping for me, or at least one of my grocery shopping experiences. It's so weird. It's a weird existence in this place. Let me answer one or two more questions while I'm at it. Dean Tupac, I think is her name, has asked me Pet Sounds or Sgt. Pepper. Great question. I would say Sgt. Pepper. Sometimes that question comes up between, you know, the Beatles versus the Stones, which I think is ridiculous. That's not fair on the Stones. Stones are great and all, but it's music for the bar, you know. It's not. It doesn't have the depth of the Beatles. Different thing. But yeah, Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys is a much closer comparison. But I'd have to go with Sgt. Pepper. Just gotta. I think that's my bus arriving right now. Gotta run for it. Skim87 is asking, have I ever considered making a movie? Yes, I have. I think about that all the time. I think I could probably make a half decent movie. I could make a good attempt at putting a movie together. I don't know if I'd act in it though. Maybe I would. I don't know. But yeah, I always think about that. I'd love to do that. You can probably see it in the channel, right? It's like I'm a frustrated filmmaker in the world of watches. Say that. Quite chilly now. What do you guys think of the Arcatera? Beautiful, right? Come on. She barely made it onto the boat. You see that? Fucking hell.